Welcome back to my channel. As you know, we just got into the new year. It's now 2022 and we passed all the holiday seasons, and now we're entering into the springtime and we will be seeing a new holiday, and I wanted to do something that I haven't done before and I'm very excited. Today I will be recreating this look right here for the Valentine's Day season. Hopefully I can get a few more videos in like this, but today I'm very excited to be doing this look. And if you're interested in seeing how I recreated this look and if I even was able to accomplish this, stay tuned. Starting this look, I'm going to start off with the brows. So my brows are a little bit oddly shaped, and I don't really need to cut them that much, but I will shape them up with these small shears or scissors. Now I'm going to be moving on to skin prep. First, I'm going to spray my face with some of this Avion Hydrating Mist. Just to boost a little bit of that hydration in my skin. Then I'm going to use these Glow Drops by Jecca Black. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I want a little bit of glow to my skin, so this primer is illuminating and it's vegan. So for all you vegans out there who like illuminating glowing skin, do their makeup, this would be a nice product. I'm just gonna spread it and pat it into my skin. As you can see, it gave my skin a nice glow without even putting any foundation on. Next, I'm going to go in and touch up my brows. I'm using the MAC NC45 concealer. And I use the back of my hand because I don't have a palette. Before I carve my brows, I'm going to darken up the ends of it. I'm going to be using my Milani brow pencil in black for the tail ends of my brow, just to fill it in. I know it doesn't look like it's doing much, but it's doing quite enough. I'm going to be grabbing this brow pen by NYX in the shade Black. And I'm just gonna do hair-like strokes. In the front, and longer strokes towards the tail of my brow. The reason why I like this product is because you can still get darker at the tail of your brow without it looking so harsh. I find that using the pens like this, the ones that look like that, or the pencils even, just kind of paint on the brow, which is fine, but I still want those hair-like strokes in there to make it look real, like a real brow and not painted brows. The best I can, you know, I'm not an esthetician or anything, but you know, I've learned a trick or two. So next, I'm going to be carving out my brows with that MAC NC45 that I just showed you. And I'm going to start at the arch of my brow and kind of, instead of going all the way down like that, kind of go out a little bit. Looks more natural to me. soon as I draw my line, I like to blend it out with a brush quickly so it doesn't set. And then I use my finger, don't mind my nails once again. I use my finger to kind of warm that up and blend it out because I don't like that harsh line under there. So I'll just use the warmth of my finger to melt that into my skin. Now I'm going to do the top. I like to start at the arch so I can determine how it's going to look. Now I'm going to do the other brow and I will come back to finish the rest of the eye. Now that my brows are done, I'm going to prime my eyes a little bit more. Since we are doing bold colors, I want it to stick a little bit better. So I'm going to go in with this NYX eye primer, eyeshadow base actually, in the shade White Pearl. And this one in particular is very white. So what I like to do is get a good amount. I like to rub it off on the back of my hand, just kind of get less of it. I don't want it to be as sticky because it can crease my eyeshadow a lot. I just kind of press it in. And this is the only eyeshadow base that I have at the moment, so it is shimmery, which is fine. And I like to pat it in because it does tend to crease up. And the fact that it's white will help the colors appear more, but I don't want it to be overwhelming. So I'm just gonna pat this in, creating a base for those bold colors. So first things first, I'm gonna go in with the transition shade, which will be a lighter color than the rest of the shade. This transition shade is gonna be a few tones lighter than the rest. I'm gonna go in with this color right here as my transition shade, or yeah, this color right here as my transition shade. If that's too light, then I'll go in with this color. So let's take a look. Basically, I'm just going to, oh, that one's fine. I'm just basically going to carve out exactly where my shade is going to end up. And it's okay if it's very sheer. It's going to be carved out anyways. Color is going to be placed on top of it anyways, so it's just this transition and give a nice blend. The reason why I'm bringing it up so high is because it's going to be a cut crease, so most of the color is going to be cut, and it's going to be mostly lid. So for the next shade, I'm going to be going in with this color. It looks salmon on the camera, but it is closer to red. And this look is going to be red. So I'm going to go underneath that with this color here. And putting it on my skin, it does look very pink. So I'm going to darken that up with an even darker, closer to red tone. But it's still a really good transition color. Now I'm going to go in with my, I think this is 45 MB palette, and I'm going to go in with this shade here. This one's more of the shimmery tone, and the one next to it is matte, but I think I'm going to go with the shimmery one. And I'm going to use that to darken up this pink that I have going on right now. And I'm going to use an even finer makeup brush. And I'm going to go underneath and just kind of use that. Still going with the shape of the cut crease. Make sure you're dusting off your brush every time you go in, so you can avoid patches of color. You want to go in with that brush you've used previously and really blend out any harsh lines that you may see. And blend out those colors. Blend out your eyeshadow, blend everything together. To darken up these colors even more, I'm going to go in with this shade, Love Letter, in Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance. I remember when I first got this palette, I was so happy because I waited so long. I watched all the reviews. That's when it was very popular coming out, and everybody swore by this palette. I just knew I had to have it, and as soon as I got it and tried it, I loved it. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to define that line and darken up my red color as much as I can with a plum. And kind of define that line, and this will determine where I'm going to cut my crease. It's okay to mess up, but try to get the line as perfect as you can, because this will determine how you're going to cut. I know it looks a little bit messy now, but as soon as you clean it up, it should look fine. It will look fine. So now I'm going to go in with Fireside in the Tarte palette. The Toasted palette by Tarte. It's closer to a black shade, but it's more on the purple side. So I'm using this very fine brush to carve out that line that I'm going to be using. Okay, so now it's time to cut this crease, and then I'm going to define this line a little bit more with some black. So the best way to do that is you want to get a cotton swab, and I'm using micellar water. I'm going to dab a little bit of that on my cotton swab. And I'm just gonna cut my crease like this. You want to take off as much eyeshadow as you can before you put concealer on, otherwise it will smudge. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take this off, and I will be right back. Okay, so this is what we have so far, and I'm going to correct this line with some concealer. So this is the best concealer brush I can find. So I'm going to use this concealer This concealer I'm going to use under my eyes as well, but I will show you that once we get to it. This is going to be the concealer I use today. It's called Dose of Colors in the shade 20, which is medium tan. I'm just going to dab a little of that on the back of my hand. And it's a very light concealer, so this will be good for cutting out that line. Very crisp-like. And I'm going to start at the outer corner just to get that line up. So I'm realizing, although this is a very flat concealer brush, it is also very difficult to work with. So I'm just going to use the one that I always use for my brows. I'm just so used to using this. This is the one I'm going to use today. You know, every once in a while you have to give a little pose to see if it's looking right. And it's looking right. So, I'm gonna move on to the next eye, and then I'm gonna set it and kind of sharpen up the line with some black eyeshadow. I'm gonna use this very fine brush right here, and I'm gonna put a little bit of black, kind of define the line, just tap it. If you're nervous about this part, you can use brown. That'll probably work a lot better for you and be a lot more comfortable for you. You never want any harsh lines in your makeup, so you're gonna get your angled brush with color already on it, and you're just gonna blend that line out. Looking pretty good so far. Now I'm gonna move on to, say, the eyeshadow portion. What you want to do first is you want to set this eyeshadow, and I'm going to use just a regular eyeshadow shade just to put on top of that concealer that we just used. Doesn't really matter what color you use as long as it's not too light or too dark. I'm using something that'll match my concealer shade. Just to set my concealer. Then I'm gonna go over with a pearlish pink eyeshadow. This eyeshadow will be more on the shimmery side and less on the pigment side. So let's see if I can find one. I think this one will do nicely, and I might mix it with this one. I still want it to be a little bit more red, so I'm gonna go over that as well with a red color. So the closest thing I have to that eyeshadow shade would be my Huda Beauty Melted Eyeshadow. It's a two-sided eyeshadow color. I guess the side I'll be using is Cherry Soda, which which I wanted it to be a little bit shimmery. I'm going to test it out on my hand to see if that's what I want. I think so. I'm just going to dab a little bit, and I'm going to just blend it out with a brush. So I don't want it to be overpowering. I just want it a little bit of color. I just want it to cover the lid nicely. So this dries really fast. You're going to want to make sure you spread this out as much as you can before it sets. So just going to cover the lid and spread it as much as I can before it sets. I'm in love with these liquid eyeshadows. I'm definitely getting more. I got this red one because usually this is the color I would use, and I got this during the summer. Typically I would wear more like a nude color, but I decided to get this one just because I really thought this one was pretty and I had a look I was going for at the time. So to achieve that look, this is the one that I bought. So this one matched pretty well to the photo. Next thing I'm going to do is the eyeliner. So I'm going to get my angled brush, and this trick helped me to get a really clean eyeliner before I go in with a dark liner. So in order to do that, I use my angled brush, and I'll go in with a pretty sheer eyeliner pomade. This one is Maybelline. I let it dry out a little bit on accident, but I still use it to at least carve out, make a line where I want my eyeliner to be, or how I want it to be, before I actually go in with the real thing. It's very sheer, so nothing's set in stone. You just kind of want to get your line right. So I was told doing this isn't good for your eye, but I'm gonna do it anyways. You know, it helps. I try not to do things that's not good for me, but you know, if it makes it easier, and I've tried it that way for so long and it still doesn't work for me, then I'm gonna do it the way I know best. So that's what I'm gonna do. So they're a little bit uneven. I'm just going to sharpen up these edges like I did this side with a cotton swab and micellar water. Next thing I'm going to do is my foundation. So today I'm going to be using the foundation I haven't used before. Hopefully it's not too dark. I'm going to be using the Maybelline Dream Radiant Liquid Foundation in the shade Coconut 125. I'm just going to dab a little bit on my hands. It does look like it's going to be really dark. So I'm going to use one of my stippling brushes, and I'm going to dab a little bit of Lancome. I live by this foundation in Core 70 C. This one's a little bit lighter. You can tell the lighter one would be Lancome, and it's a little more olivey. I do like the consistency of this foundation. I'm only using a dab of the Lancome, so they do mix very well together. I will say that. I wouldn't say it's too dark. I can tell that it's a little bit darker, but it's not too bad because I'm going to go in with a lighter concealer. I'm going to use Dose of Colors concealer to conceal under my eyes. I don't like to dip my concealer in a little tube, so I'm just gonna put some on my wrist, then conceal like this. I'm using a lighter one. On the outside, in the corners of my eye. I'm going to use a darker concealer. This is in the shade Beautiful Bronze. I'm going to put a little bit of this on my hand right next to my concealer that I have left on my hand. I'm going to kind of mix those together just a little bit. I don't want the dark to be too dark, but I still want it to be shadow-like. I'm just going to mix those up a little bit and then okay, so this dark shade to create a little bit of a shadow. Now I'm going to set all of my foundation with Laura Mercier. And then I'm going to set underneath my eyes. Power Wear Ombre Bronzer, Bronze Beauty. I'm really actually loving this bronzer. Like, I didn't realize how much I needed this until I used it and realized I need this. It matches me so well. It looks so seamless. It blends my makeup so well. I love it. So up next is, while this sets on my face, I'm going to go underneath my eyelid with some of that color that I used on the top lid. And I want to really pack this on. So I'm going to get the brightest red shade and I'm going to use that one. Because that's really what I want to be shown, mostly. There we go. And I'm going to use some of this eyeliner, not this one. I'm going to use some eyeliner, use this eyeliner pencil underneath my eyelid so I can give it a more smoked out look. Now that that is settled, time for the fun part. So I'm going to get some duct tape. Just a little bit. was the lips though. We'll move on to the lips. We're going to use a nude color, this brown shade. I'm going to use for my lips. Can essentially enjoy it, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Leave a comment on any looks that you want me to try, anything you want to see next. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.